Hey guys, welcome to Tales from a Retro Gamer episode number 23. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Mattel electronic handheld games that came out in the late 1970s, those ubiquitous electronic games that everybody loves so much. But even more, I'm going to be talking about the time I got busted in junior high school playing a handheld game. Now, real quick first, I just want to tell you real quick, Gene Simmons of Kiss, the co-frontman and bassist for Kiss, tweeted my Encyclopedia of Kiss book just the other night. That was really cool. It took off on Amazon. Thank you, Uncle Gene, as a lot of people call him, for that. Very much appreciated. Very cool. Little taste of celebrity there. So, as I've told you guys before, I started collecting consoles in 1982. I was 15 years old. That's when I got a ColecoVision for Christmas. Now, I've also said I've been collecting games since 1977. Now, that's also true because that's when I first got a Mattel handheld game. One of those little electronic games where the characters are just little red hash marks and very crude little games, but back then we loved them. We thought they were so much fun. So in 1977, I had Mattel football, which was just awesome. And my brother got basketball the same year, or the next year, 1978. That's when that came out. Now these games date back to 1976 with Auto Race. Now this series there were several Mattel handheld, the sports games just took off like crazy. But they also did some, science fiction games, some movie tie-in games. I found this Battlestar Galactica one at a convention for just $10. Had to grab it, it's in really nice shape. And unfortunately, I don't have my entire collection of handhelds anymore. I made the huge mistake in the late 1990s of getting rid of all my handheld games in my brother, Scott, and his wife, Margaret, were having a garage sale at their house, and they asked if I had anything, and I dumped all of my Mattel electronic handheld games for, $2 or $3 a piece. Huge mistake. I had some of the offshoots, too. When those Mattels came out, copycats followed. There were clones everywhere: basketball, football, baseball, sports, all kinds of games, ice hockey, tennis, and then action and adventure games as well. And this led to, more sophisticated offerings later on. But I had a lot of those handhelds early on because, they were $20, $30 a piece. I could get them from Christmas and birthdays, whereas Atari 2600 console was $250 and television was, around $300, too expensive. But I could get the handhelds here and there. I could save up for them, get them for holidays and special occasions. Now, I will show you real quick what I have of these handhelds. I've collected a few over the years, like I've showed you the Battlestar Galactica. I actually found a really cheap Mattel Electronics baseball at a thrift store, an original one, which was a good find. I think I got it for about $5. And I've got the remake from 2001, the classic baseball. Now, what's significant about these remakes, they include, you can turn off the sound. There's a button that says sound. You can actually turn off the sound. Now, in the original Mattel games, you couldn't turn off the sound, and in the other handheld games, the ones I had, you couldn't turn off the sound, so there's a problem. You couldn't really play them in class. People would bring them to school, like maybe play them in the hall or outside or something, but you couldn't play them in class, obviously, because the Mattel ones were pretty loud. Okay, so you guys know I love a bargain. If you watch the channel, I love to, I don't like to pay retail. I like to shop the clearance aisles, and I like discounts and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes this backfired, as it did when I was in junior high school. We were at Kmart. Every Friday night, our family would go to Kmart after we would eat, and I would maybe spend my allowance or birthday money or whatever. And this particular night, I was, shopping, looking for handheld electronic games. Now, my brother already had basketball, and like I said, I had football, and we had some others. But I wanted a basketball game of my very own. And at Kmart, I found a basketball game called Dr. Dunk, and it was only like $17 and some change. And that was much cheaper than most of the other games, which were, $25, $30, $35. I remember the Mattels in particular being around $30. And so I bought the game thinking it was a great bargain. Plus, I was sort of suckered by the title of the game because Dr. J was my childhood hero growing up. Huge fan of Dr. J and the Philadelphia 76ers. So Dr. Dunk just seemed like it had my name all over it. And his name as well, at least part of it. And so I bought my Dr. Dunk, and at first I thought it was pretty cool. You know, it was a little different than the Mattel basketball game. So but it was similar, but I had a basketball game of my own. So I thought that was pretty exciting. And however, once I played it for a while, I discovered a bug in the game. So, you're going around the court, you're guiding your little red hash mark around the court, and you're going in for a basket, you're shooting from outside or whatever. Well, I discovered if you drove right down the middle and you push the shoot button, even if there was a defender right in front of you blocking the basket, if you pushed it the second your hash mark touched him, the basket would go in and you would score 2 points. And you could do that virtually every time as long as you timed the press right. You could go right through. Now, I guess you could say you were dunking over him or doing a monster dunk. Technically, maybe that's what the company would say if they would have discovered that, or if somebody would have complained about it. But it was obviously a glitch because you could do it just about every time. Now, so I kind of got, you get what you pay for sometimes, right? Now, I did still play this game from time to time, and I just wouldn't do that move, and I would try to convince myself that, okay, I bought the game, I'm going to play it. Now, it had a quieter noise than the Mattel games, and so I took it to school thinking I could get away with playing in class. I put some tape over it, and I think I remember even at Kmart I bought some Velcro to put over the speaker, and I thought, okay, I can sit there at my desk, sorry to my wife and my son who are both school teachers. I snuck this into class, and I played it sitting there, hiding from my teacher, just kind of played it under the desk very subtly. Now, with school, I wasn't the best student, and I had sort of a history of sneaking things into school. In particular, I used to sell candy and gum at school. I would sell Jolly Rancher candy, and I would sell Bubblicious and Bubble Yum gum. I could buy a pack of 5 pieces gum at Target or Walmart or Kmart or whatever for around 20, 22 cents. 24 cents, sell them for a dime a piece, get 50 cents. And one time they outlawed this, and of course, electronic gaming handheld, during class, you couldn't play video games in class, obviously, especially when the teacher was speaking. That was outlawed, but they outlawed selling gum and candy at school as well. I hollowed out a book to bring stuff contraband into school. I hollowed out a book, that was a pretty thick book where I could sneak in electronic games, candy, gum to sell or whatever. And I would just carry it with my school books. Nobody ever was the wiser, except my math teacher in junior high school. I believe it was 8th, 9th grade, something like that. I was sitting there playing this basketball game, and I had, tape and Velcro or whatever over the speaker, and it was quiet anyway. I thought I could get away with it. And so I'm sitting there playing the game, perfectly content. I either wasn't doing my work or I was caught up or whatever, but I was just sitting there playing this game. I got totally immersed in it. And it's, kind of like today, a lot of kids will bring their smartphones into school and they'll sort of try to play games on those subtly or text or whatever. I was sitting there with that. Well, suddenly my super tall basketball coach, who was also my math teacher, he's standing over me, a big shadow over me. And I look up, and I thought he was going to absolutely lose it because in basketball practice, he would get, I was a starter on the team. I'm not good at a whole lot of things, but I'm pretty good at basketball. And so I was a starter and everything. And he tended to be a little harder on the starters and the people that played a lot. And he would just, in practice, if I would shoot when he didn't want me to, he would just get right in my face and cuss me out, spittle flying everywhere. He was the prototypical, he was my 9th grade basketball coach. He was the prototypical 1980s basketball coach, sports coach, football coach, whatever. All that lumped into one because in the 80s, coaches were mean, especially of the 3 big sports, and hockey too, I suppose. We didn't have that where I went to school. But basketball, and especially basketball and football coaches, were super mean. He was a jerk. He would get in my face and just scream and cuss. One time we played a particularly bad game, and after the game, or actually it was at halftime, he got us all to sit down, at halftime in the locker room, and he was so mad he threw a clipboard and it spun around and it slashed open the below the eye of Randall Branscombe, one of the craziest kids in school and a good friend of mine. So anyway, he was a super mean coach like they had in the 80s. And, he was always just working us super hard. The gym would be open where we could play in there, but he would make us go outside anyway. I think just to be mean, but probably to make us better players because he wanted us, if we would get really good on the playground. Obviously, that would transfer to the gym. Anyway, so I just assumed he was going to grab this game out of my hand, stomp, throw it down, stomp it under his feet, throw it in the trash or whatever. Without saying a word, hardly, he just picked it up, took it back to his desk, and I saw him actually up there actually playing it a little bit. And then after, he put it in his desk. After class was over, he motioned me to come up, and he just simply gave it back to me. That was actually a pretty nice gesture because he could have pretty much done anything with it. Teachers got away with a lot back then. And so whatever. So thank you, Coach. I'm not going to, to protect the names of the innocent, not going to names here, but thank you, my 9th grade basketball coach. I really appreciate it. And you probably made me a better basketball player as well. Okay, so comment below if you ever snuck anything into school, especially an electronic game or a video game, or if you play games on your phone at school. Comment below and stop doing that, because I have a wife and a son who are school teachers and they don't appreciate that. So comment below, I'd really appreciate it. Speaking of comments, last week, my Tales from a Retro Gamer episode, I pitted Retropalooza versus the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. I love both shows and I asked for comments. Chuck Van Pelt said, now Chuck Van Pelt is one of the 3 organizers of the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, along with Rick Weiss and Toby Wickwire. So Chuck Van Pelt said, thanks for the kind words about PRGE. You can't go wrong with either event. It's a great weekend for retro gaming. YouTube Sucks 123 says, I'll be going to Retropalooza for the 2nd time in a row. Loved last year because I got to meet AVGN, the Angry Video Game Nerd. Don't care for Billy Mitchell. Mainly want to see Woodhawker and the Game Chaser speak. Lastly, Brian Hall said, went to PRGE last year, which is the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, as an attendee and loved it. I'll be back this year with a booth celebrating the Atari Lynx 30th birthday. Now that's awesome. I kind of slipped my mind that the Atari Lynx 30th birthday, there's my console. Near Men in the Box, great system. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want a little more information on electronic handheld games, like they had in the 70s, check out, maybe you can find them on Amazon, The Complete Guide to Electronic Games. You can see listings, descriptions, some pretty cool old school photography, that kind of stuff. That's a neat book. And Electronic Plastic, which is a more recent book, and it goes, covers just beautifully in full color. It's not comprehensive. There's so many published, it probably couldn't be some of these games produced, there probably couldn't be a comprehensive book, but it's a beautiful book as well, Electronic Plastic. All right, thank you guys so much for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing. I will be at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo this weekend, October 19th and 20th, and I'll actually be there on the 18th, the Friday night, playing arcade games. Thank you very much, guys. We will talk to you later. Peace out. All right, that was fairly painless.